noses away.
The Ryder Cup was supposed to be about golf, calm greens, steady hands, and quiet respect. But this year, it looked more like a primetime drama filmed live on the fairway. What started as a routine hole turned into a full-blown spectacle when Bryson DeChambeau's camp clashed with Team Europe right in front of the crowd. It began with a small misunderstanding, maybe just a sharp word or a glare. But in seconds, it exploded. Voices were raised, players got heated, and even the caddies were pulled into the chaos. Some fans cheered, saying it was passion at its finest, while others shook their heads, calling it straight-up petty. But everyone agreed. It was the headline moment of the entire tournament. Bryson's reaction was quick, bold, and loud. He stepped in, defending his caddy like a soldier protecting his squad. To some, it was loyalty, a man standing by his team no matter what. To others, it crossed the line, turning a classy game into a shouting match. The Ryder Cup, usually golf's cleanest stage, all precision, pride, and pressure, turned into something that looked like a heated season finale. Witnesses say the calm cracked the moment Bryson and Justin Rose exchanged tense words near the 14th hole. "You could feel it," one fan said, describing how the energy around them snapped in an instant. What followed was a wave of confusion, caddies stepping in, teammates trying to de-escalate, and the audience buzzing with disbelief. Some swear it was just raw emotion, the kind that makes sports worth watching. Others think it was a meltdown that'll stain this year's Cup. Either way, one thing's clear. Bryson DeChambeau turned the Ryder Cup into must-see TV. Some people said Bryson went too far, that his fire burned a little too hot. Others thought he was just defending his pride. But one thing's for sure, it didn't look like golf anymore. It looked like a full-blown power struggle dressed up in polos and visors. Every glare carried meaning, every quiet word sounded like a warning, and you could feel the tension rising with every step toward the next tee. Commentators tried to call it passion, while social media instantly labeled it drama. And somewhere between those two takes lies the truth, because at the Ryder Cup, it's not always the perfect swings that make history. It's the moments when pride and pressure crash headfirst. That's when sparks fly, and reputations get rewritten in real time. By the time they left the 15th green, the atmosphere was thick enough to slice with a wedge. What started as a tiny misunderstanding between a player and a caddy had turned into something bigger, a wave of tension rolling across the course. Fans near the ropes swear they saw Bryson DeChambeau exchange sharp words with Justin Rose. Nothing wild, but enough to send a clear message. This wasn't over. Then came Tommy Fleetwood, stepping in like a peacemaker. Or maybe a backup, depending on who you ask. Bryson's caddy, Greg Bodine, stayed close, clearly uneasy, with all eyes locked on them. The American side looked tight and tense, while across the fairway, a few thought Rose's tone pushed things too far. On the flip side, some believe Bryson was taking it way too personally. Even the vice-captains couldn't look away. Their glances said it all. The whole thing was walking the line between competitive fire and outright confrontation. As the players made their way toward the 16th tee, the walk felt heavier than usual. Slow, charged, almost cinematic. And a few fans swore they heard Bryson mutter something under his breath, the kind of quiet promise that says, "This isn't finished yet." Some people swear Justin Rose just brushed it off with a grin. Cool, calm, unfazed. Others say that smile was the calm before the storm. Either way, in that instant, the match became way bigger than golf. Cameras locked in, commentators dropped their voices to a whisper, and the crowd sensed something shifting. The Ryder Cup's polite tension had cracked wide open, and you could feel it pulsing through the air. No one knew what would happen next, but one thing was clear. The line between rivalry and resentment was starting to blur. To outsiders, it might have looked like a harmless flare-up between two elite athletes under pressure. But for those inside the ropes, it felt personal. In golf, respect isn't just a tradition, it's sacred. The game runs on unspoken rules. Don't cross a putting line, don't raise your voice, don't stare too long. But once those codes get broken, even slightly, the atmosphere can change in a heartbeat. Online, fans were losing their minds. Debates were firing up everywhere. Was Bryson standing up for his caddy's dignity, or had the American pressure finally cracked him? Some said Rose was just defending his space like any competitor would, while others thought he pushed things too far. Suddenly, it wasn't just about one hole. It was about everything those two teams represented. For Team Europe, it was intensity, proof that every shot mattered, that pride was still the fuel of the cup. For Team USA, it felt like a challenge, a direct hit to their pride and unity. And that's what made the moment so magnetic. It wasn't just about the golf anymore, it was about what it meant. The Ryder Cup's calm, elegant reputation had been flipped into a live debate about respect, ego, and how far passion can go before it turns into provocation. Even the most neutral viewers couldn't look away. They knew they were witnessing something special. A single spark that captured everything the Ryder Cup stands for: loyalty, pride, and the dangerous beauty of competition when emotions boil over. As both teams tried to reset and focus, everyone could feel it. That spark from the 15th hole had turned into a full-blown wildfire. This wasn't something a handshake or polite apology could fix. The tension had already taken on a life of its own. By the time the match wrapped up, it was clear the real story wasn't about who won. It was about what just went down. Reporters smelled the drama instantly. Within hours, clips and slow-motion replays were flooding social media. Zoom-ins, slow pans, even lip-reading attempts. Each replay added another twist, another theory. Some said it was competitive passion, others whispered it was straight-up animosity. Justin Rose was the first to speak out, addressing the situation with the kind of calm you only get from years in the spotlight. He admitted he might have been a bit sharp, but made it clear he meant no disrespect. His delivery was cool, polished, the kind of response that said, "I know how fast stories can blow up online." Bryson, on the other hand, kept it quieter. No fiery interviews, no big statements, but fans didn't need words. His body language told its own story. Tight jaw, stiff shoulders, a stare that said he wasn't over it. And then came Greg Bodine, the caddy at the center of the chaos, posting a short message online thanking everyone for their support and praising his players' loyalty. People instantly took that as a subtle nod to what really went down. Even Ted Scott, another caddy who somehow got caught in the crossfire, reportedly reached out to Francesco Molinari with a public apology. But that didn't cool things off. If anything, it made the fire burn hotter. By the next morning, golf's calm and collected world was buzzing like a reality show reunion. Comment sections blew up with debates. Was this proof that emotion still matters in a sport built on restraint, or just a sign that egos had taken over? Pundits turned one heated moment into an entire news cycle. And when the next stop landed at Bethpage, oh, it was game on. New Yorkers are known for their volume and passion, and they didn't hold back. Every swing, every stare, every whisper between players was met with roars from the crowd. The tension didn't fade with time. It grew louder, thicker, electric. The Ryder Cup wasn't just about golf anymore. It had officially entered its drama era. From the first tee to the final putt, the crowd was wild. Every cheer, every sarcastic clap, every roar from the gallery shaped the mood like waves crashing on a stormy shore. Some fans swore the atmosphere had gone too far, pure chaos wrapped in golf etiquette, but others called it the truest form of home field energy, loud, loyal, and unfiltered. Team Europe seemed to feed off the madness. They laughed off heckles, responded with icy precision, and hit shots that silenced the crowd, at least for a second. Meanwhile, parts of Team USA looked trapped between frustration and disbelief. Every miss drew a louder reaction. Every clutch European putt turned the pressure up another notch. The tension was thick enough to slice with a 9-iron. Social media went insane. Clips of Bryson DeChambeau glancing toward the gallery spread everywhere. Jaw tight, eyes cold, looking like a man trying to block out the noise but still feeling every decibel of it. Commentators whispered that the American team was starting to crack under the pressure, while the European squad looked laser-focused like they were thriving on the chaos. For Europe, the louder the boos, the sharper the concentration. Every jab from the crowd just made them stronger. You could almost see the psychology play out in real time. Confidence, nerves, ego, all colliding on live TV. By the end of the round, it wasn't just about golf anymore. It was about mental survival. The real question wasn't who would win the next hole, it was who could handle the storm without breaking. And when the dust finally settled, the feud had outgrown the game itself. That moment on the 15th green became more than an argument. It became a symbol, a mirror reflecting everything the Ryder Cup stands for: pride, unity, and the dangerously thin line between them. Analysts started asking if Team USA's chemistry could survive the pressure, or if Europe's calm composure was the secret weapon that made all the difference. Because in the end, this Ryder Cup wasn't just about skill. It was about heart, ego, and the beautiful chaos that happens when passion refuses to stay quiet. For Bryson DeChambeau, the real question became this: was his fiery defense of his caddy pure loyalty, or a flash of deeper frustration that had been brewing for months? You could see it in his eyes, that mix of pride, pressure, and something heavier hiding underneath. Meanwhile, Justin Rose walked a razor-thin line between accountability and authority, insisting the whole encounter was behind them, even as fans dissected every angle, every glare, and every muttered word like detectives solving a mystery. But what kept the moment alive wasn't the words. It was the meaning behind them. It was the ultimate clash between emotion and etiquette, heart and tradition. Golf has always been the gentleman's game, calm, respectful, polished. Yet in that single instant, all those unspoken rules went head-to-head with raw human emotion, and the world couldn't look away. Weeks later, the buzz refused to fade. Podcasts, sports shows, and fan debates were still running wild. Who was right, who crossed the line, and who just got caught in the heat of competition? But maybe that's missing the point. The Ryder Cup has always thrived on rivalry, that electric mix of pride and passion that makes even silence feel tense. This moment just proved the fire is still burning, hotter than ever. Because sometimes the most unforgettable battles in golf aren't won with birdies or perfect swings. They're won and lost in the moments where pride takes over. And that's exactly what made this year's Ryder Cup feel like something straight out of a movie. No scriptwriter could have crafted a better twist. Bryson's defenders called him loyal, a man standing up for his own when it mattered most. His critics said emotion clouded his judgment, letting pride outplay patience. Justin Rose's fans applauded his composure, saying he handled it like a pro, while others argued he lit the fuse by speaking too sharply. But at the end of the day, it wasn't about heroes or villains. It was about two competitors who cared too much to stay quiet. And that's exactly what keeps golf alive: the fire behind the formality. When the cameras finally stopped rolling and the crowds drifted home, the tension still hung in the air like smoke after a fire. Neither Bryson nor Rose said much more publicly, but their silence spoke louder than any interview could. You could tell both men understood that this moment would follow them long after the last putt dropped. Inside both camps, whispers continued. Team USA trying to rally around Bryson, and Team Europe quietly using the incident as fuel. Reports say that during the post-match dinner, the vibe was off. Polite smiles, forced laughter, but everyone knew the spark was still burning beneath the surface. Even behind closed doors, players couldn't resist replaying the clip, each side defending their own version of what went down on that 15th green. For Bryson, the next few days became a test of character. Every media question felt loaded. Every glance on the practice range carried extra meaning. Some fans called him passionate, others said he was volatile, but no one could deny that he made people feel something, and that's rare in a sport built on control and calm. As for Justin Rose, his cool composure earned him praise across Europe, but even he couldn't dodge the undercurrent of controversy. Some British outlets framed him as the gentleman who held his ground, while others hinted that his grin that day might have been more calculated than kind. It became a game within the game. Who could protect their image while the world dissected every gesture and tone of voice? By the time both men returned to their regular tour schedules, the Ryder Cup moment had already carved its place in golf history. Analysts were calling it the green standoff, a modern reminder that even in the most polite sport on earth, tempers still have a pulse. And maybe that's the beauty of it, because golf, for all its calm and class, is still a game of pride. Behind every handshake lies a rivalry. Behind every quiet nod, a message. That's what makes the Ryder Cup different. It's not just about flags or fairways. It's about heartbeats colliding under pressure. And this year, Bryson and Rose reminded everyone that even in silence, the echoes of competition never truly fade. Weeks after the Ryder Cup ended, the storm still hadn't calmed. What should have been a memory of great golf had turned into a running conversation, the kind that just wouldn't die. Every podcast, every headline, every fan thread found its way back to that 15th green. The moment had become bigger than a single shot. It became the symbol of what happens when ego, emotion, and legacy collide under the brightest lights. Bryson tried to move forward, diving back into training and tournaments, but the questions followed him everywhere. Reporters kept asking about his outburst, and even when he tried to brush it off, his clipped answers and tight grin gave away that the fire hadn't gone out. Some fans called it passion. Others said he was still haunted by that moment. Either way, Bryson's name was staying in the headlines, and not just for his drives. Justin Rose, meanwhile, handled it with that same polished calm, giving classy sound bites, smiling through interviews, and avoiding anything that could spark more headlines. But the more composed he seemed, the more people wondered what he really felt that day. Some believed he was just protecting golf's image, while others thought he was quietly proud that Europe had come out looking like the cooler side of the feud. The Ryder Cup committee even got dragged into it, with debates about sportsmanship and crowd behavior making their way into official discussions. Some American fans argued the European team crossed emotional lines. European fans shot back that Bryson's camp took things too personally. Suddenly, what began as a misunderstanding had become an international debate about what respect actually means in modern sports. And yet, through all the noise, one truth stood out. Golf had everyone talking again. The drama pulled in new audiences. People who'd never watched a tournament before suddenly glued to replays and reaction videos. That's the wild part. One argument did what no marketing campaign could have done. It made golf feel alive. Even months later, as the new season kicked off, echoes of that clash still lingered. Bryson and Rose hadn't faced each other since, but fans were already hyping the next time they'd share a tee box. Everyone's wondering, will it be calm and professional, or will the tension spark again? Because now, every look, every handshake, every grin carries history. And when pride meets pressure like that, anything can happen.